Hello everyone. In this video, we are going to take our lakehouse architecture to the next very important feature, which is related to syncing a real-time data with the help of a Kafka-like event streaming platform. Right. So as you can see on my screen, there are few examples for the data sources which you can come across in a real-time e-commerce events. Where the e-commerce real-time transaction data, sales, product, customer related information, IoT sensor, user activities on a website, and the inventory update. So these are the four major data sources, and there can be many more, right? So now to just have this implemented, the very first thing which we need is we need to generate the data. So somehow we have to synthetically mimic the same kind of data what we're gonna receive in a real time. So I have created this real-time underscore generator.py Python script, which actually help us to generate the data. Along with that, what it does is whatever the data we are going to generate, it is going to put that into the Kafka topic with the help of a Kafka producer. Right? I hope you understand what exactly the producer, Kafka broker, and the consumer, because these are the words which I'm going to use a lot in this video. So the very first thing, as I mentioned, e-commerce event. So we are just having this method generate transaction, and here we are using some logic to just generate the data. And most of the time I'm using this random and this date time, and then we have this product. You can just create, if you just look at this, you can just create whatever you want, right? This is just a synthetical way through which you can just generate the data whatever you want, right? So this is generating a data which is pretty much just mimicking how you're gonna receive the e-commerce events, right? Similarly, we are just generating IoT sensor data where we have temperature, humidity, pressure, air quality, motion detection, right, label, and the noise level, right? Similarly, user activities where we are saying page URL, device type, browser, which browser we are using, which device we are using. This is something which you can easily just generate by looking into this particular. If you face any issue, just let me know. I will just help you to just set up this script on your machine. The next one is the inventory update, where we are seeing how we are just, changing, the inventory information for any given product. So randomly again, we are doing this. This is where the actual, magic is happening, where not only it generates the data, but is actually puts into the Kafka top. Right. So here you will see the very first thing what it is doing. It is first generating the data. So it's just calling a generate transaction method. And now we are using a Kafka producer, and how we are initializing that. Here you can see this. I'm just creating this producer with the help of this Kafka producer from the Python Kafka library. Right. I will just explain all these things in more detail. Just give me a moment. So here we have this requirement, Kafka Python. This is the library which you need to install for that. Right? So we just importing Kafka producer, and we are initializing that. And what we need is we just need a bootstrap server. I'm just going to explain how I just set this up. And then we have a value serializer where we are actually just dumping the JSON data, which we are generating with these different methods. So here you can see we are having all these data into the JSON format, and that is what we are doing. We are converting into the string, and then we are encoding with the UTF. This is what it is needed when we are going to push the data to the Kafka top. Right? And this is what we are doing in this. So now what does it mean? It means that whenever we are going to run this script, our data will be pushed to the Kafka top. The next thing is what we need is we need to just consume this data. I have already covered this. Now we have to stream this data. So basically we have to consume the data from the Kafka topic and put it on a Postgres table. How are we going to do that? Again, we are just using this stream processor. This is the another one where I'm using this Kafka consumer. Here you can see that first I'm making a connection to the Postgres, which is very straightforward, making a connection to the MinIO, the Redis client. This is the another feature because we wanted to cache the data. That's the reason we are using the Redis client as well. How we need to set this up, again, I will just explain you, because we have this another library related to the Redis, which Python provides, and we are using that one to just make the client. Right. And then we have this batch buffer, right? In batch buffer, we are saying, we are just creating a list of all those different events, transaction, IoT sensor, user activity, inventory update, which we are going to receive from the Kafka topic. Again, we are initializing the topic, but this time we are creating a consumer, and we are just giving all those 4 topics which we want to create, and I'm going to explain to you how we're going to do that. Again, another thing, just giving a bootstrap server's name, then the value deserializer. In producer, we were having a value serializer. Here we are using a deserializer. Auto offset, it is earliest. These are just some configuration which we need to provide when we are just initializing the consumer. Again, then we have a setting up the database. So what all tables? We need 4 tables. One is related to the transaction, real-time transaction, real-time IoT, real-time user activities, and the last one is real-time inventory. So we are actually creating this because we have already made the connection to Postgres. Now we're gonna create those tables. Then we're gonna just process the transaction. What does it mean, right? It means that we are going to consume that and keep, updating our caching. So here you are seeing we are just keep updating our Redis client by saying, how much data we have consumed, right? Same we are doing for the IoT sensor, for the user activity, and then we have this inventory update, right? And then we are flushing. This is just a way through which we can just, once we just consume the data, how we're going to flush that out so that it is just going to be stored onto the our tables, right? So here what we are doing, we are just, calling this consumer, extracting a topic name and the value which we are getting. And then we are just checking if it is a topic related to a transaction, then process transaction. If you just see this method, I have already explained that, this is the method which is going to be called here. So it is just, keep appending the data which is it is getting into the transaction, which is actually our list. And then we are just setting up, this Redis client. So basically we are just keep updating this Redis client so that we can cache the, right? That's one thing. Once we have this information here, again, we have a PO process IoT sensor, user activity, and this process, inventory update, right? So this is how we are going to just do this, right? Here in a flush batch, if you just see, we are actually, this is the point where we are actually insert the data into the, our Postgres, right? This is how we're gonna do that for all the all the tables, right? So now we generate the data, push it onto the Kafka topic, and then consume the data and just put it in a Postgres. So it means that in real time, all those tables are getting saved, right? Now, how are we gonna set this entire infrastructure? As we have been using a Docker Compose. So now what we need is, I have already, published a Medium article for this. So this is what the Medium article, you will get all the Docker Compose, all the Python generate, like real-time generator data script, or the streaming processor data script, so you will have all those information over here. And I just try to explain that as well. So along with this video, you can also refer this Medium article where you will get all the information, what actually I'm going to explain over here, right? So as if you have been following this entire series, we have Postgres MinIO, right? We have IMC, which is a MinIO client to just generate the bucket. Now, this is where the actual new services we need. We need Zookeeper, which is actually going to control all the configuration for our Kafka cluster. Just to make the same thing simple, I'm just having a one broker. So this is where the Kafka is, and this is the Kafka broker when it's set up. Now this Redis is the another because we want to cache that. Superset is something which is actually going to help us to generate the dashboard, but that is something which we're gonna cover in the next video, right? This is where the Python ETL. So we are actually just generating the Python ETL service. Why we are doing that? This is what the Docker file is. So we are building this Python ETL service so that we can just call all these different Python scripts, right? So now if I just go back to our Docker Compose, so now we can see here data generator. Again, we are just using the same library, same Python ETL as a service context, right? So where we have this Docker file, and now we are just generating, we are just executing this real-time generator. And same thing I'm doing for the stream processor. So as we know, as I've already explained, this real-time generator is going to generate the data and produce the data and basically publish the data to the Kafka topic. There are 4 topics which I'm just gonna explain how we can create that. And then we have this stream processor where we are actually going to consume the data from the Kafka topic and put it on a Postgres. So the simple command is, all we need to do is to just, Docker Compose, up and B. So basically this is the command which we have to run, since I have already done that. So we are all golden, right? So what I have done is to just make the things simple. So this is how you can just do it, because I am just divided what are main services I wanted to make out first, right? But you should not be worried about that. You can just have all those things. But the problem you're gonna face is these services. For example, this real-time generator, it actually needs a Kafka topic to be created. So that's the reason we have to just control this. So you can just first make only these services up, and then what you can do is you can just have some validation, which I have put it over here. You can find all these things in my Medium article, right? And this is where you're gonna see what all, like, let me just quickly run this so that you can just quickly verify the Kafka version of API and all those stuff, right? That is what it is giving you. Same, what you can do is you can list down, all the topics, what you have here. So again, these kind of information, you can just get it, from a Medium article. And this is the command you are going inside the Kafka container. You are calling this script, which is Kafka topics and list and bootstrap server, right? So now you will see we have inventory updates. First topic, IoT sensor, transaction, and user activity. Right? How you can create that? It's a very simple command. We have to call this command, Docker exit Kafka topics create, and you can just let me just run one, and I can quickly create this topic as well. So this time, rather than using a list, what I'm doing, I'm just using an option create, and then I have to give the topic name, how many partition I want, replication factor, the bootstrap server, if not exist, right? So these are some things. So now again, we can just quickly do the list, and you can see now the transaction ones are also created. So if you want to push something to the, if you want to create, this is how, but I just put it all those commands into the shell script. You can also do the same thing, but I would suggest first run all these commands manually so that you can just make yourself comfortable, and then you can just put it into the this shell script so that you can ensure that everything is working well. Right now, the next thing what you need to do is you need to just run the different the real-time generators, stream processor. You can just go to the your Docker Compose or your Docker desktop, and you can simply see the logs over here. Right. So here you can see this, if you run this Docker, with this shell script, where you created all the topics and the bucket, that is what, this actually, ensuring, we have all the things ready, like Kafka topic, all the buckets are ready, because we have this MinIO client, which is actually just ensuring that, all the buckets are there. This is the command through which you can just confirm that part as well, or you can just go to the UI as well for the MinIO, and you can just confirm on that part as well. So that is running on localhost. Okay. So this is running on 091. So you can just go there. Host and 091 01. 01. Three, right? So you can see here we have this lakehouse, process data, raw data, stable data, we have processed all those things. So you can just check over here. Superset, I have already, I'll just explain that in the next video, but don't worry about this. These are the some, real-time, dashboards I have created over here. So in next video, I will be covering how you can use the superset along with whatever the data we have consumed so far, whether it's a batch data or the real-time processing data. So this Medium article you can definitely refer, right? So we have just covered, the last thing which we have to cover is how we are going to run these scripts, right? So the first way, one way is, you can directly just, see by default Docker Compose will run all of them. Here, if you just see the, a shell script first, I'm just making only these services up and running. And then I have another script which is actually supposed to just run this ETL manager, which you can just also run manually. In the last video also I have explained you. And same way, what you can do is if you want to run a data generator rather than this ETL underscore manager.py, same thing you can do with the real-time generator script, and same command you can use for the stream processor. But since we have added this in a Docker Compose, so you don't have to worry about that. Since we have not added this ETL manager, that's the reason you have to run it manually. But for this data generator, you don't have to worry about that because same command was going to work here. Right. So once you run this Docker up, and you can see here data generator is keep running and keep pushing the data. Now we have to just ensure that the data is actually properly getting pushed to the Postgres or not. And before that, I would say we have to first verify whether the data is getting into the Kafka topic or not. So how can we do that? Again, we have this troubleshooting guide, which is going to help us. I have all the commands, extracted over here. Okay, so this is the command which I'm gonna run here. If you just see, I'll just explain. Rather than the Kafka topic, I'm using a Kafka console consumer, giving a bootstrap server topic and from beginning and the maximum messages. So now we can quickly see whether the messages are being pushed or not. So now we can see we have the messages which are being. right? So we have some states failed, pending, completed. So we don't need to worry about that. This is how we are intentionally just generating a various kind of data with the status completed, failed, and passed, right? So we can just run some analytics, right? So now the data is actually getting pushed to the topic. Now we have to just quickly, verify the same thing on Postgres side. So what we need to do, we have to just log in there, right? So for login to the GB, this is a simple command. So we have the house user and house DB. We can quickly check the DB. So now we can see these real-time inventory, real-time IoT sensor. These are the tables which are actually getting created by this stream processor, right? So you remember we have this method setup database. If you just see where it is being run, so it is actually being run there in a setup database, in the init path, right? So the moment you just initialize that, at that point of time, those tables are going to be right? So now quickly just check the data into these tables. So, right? So we have 30,737. Same thing we can just do with the IoT, right? So we have 19,000 records over here. You can check. So just check for the transactions, right? So we can just bring in user activities. Now we can see earlier there was 30,737. Now we have 30,747. So it's keep adding the data, right? So it's just continuously running. In Iris sensor also earlier we have 19,312. Now we have 19,516. So as these scripts are just pushing the data at the same time, the Postgres is also getting synced. Whatever the data is being pushed to the Kafka. So what does it mean? It means that whatever the data is being generated, it is immediately getting synced to our Postgres. If I just run all these, I refresh these, all these dashboards are getting change as per how the data is being pushed in a real time. And this is what the beauty is of this particular entire data analytics platform, where we haven't used any costly source costly tool. All the entire thing is completely open source. We are not using Databricks, we are not using Fabric or any other thing. It's a completely free setup, right? It's though very complicated, and it requires to understand a lot of different tools and the platforms and the services, but it is worth because you don't have to pay anything, and you can just understand entire lakehouse storage architecture, how to do the data modeling and dashboard. So now we are only left with the last part where we are going to create this dashboard, and that is something which we want to cover in the next video. And we're going to also talk about how we're going to just make our query more performant. Rather we are going to hit the table, or we are going to hit the views, or we are going to hit the materialized view, or we are going to use the materialized view along with our Redis cache, which we have done in this video, right? So that's pretty much it, which I wanted to cover in this video. But I would highly recommend, I mean, if you just get stuck, you can always refer my Medium article to get some theoretical concept as well. And if you have any feedback or suggestion, please feel free to put that in the comment section. And if you haven't subscribed for my channel, please subscribe for my channel as well. And if you're really interested in just getting a notification for my future videos on the same topic, please just hit the notification bell as well, so that whenever the new video is available, you will just get notified accordingly. So once again, thanks for watching this. Stay healthy, keep learning new things, and be curious as much as you can.